Hello! Welcome back to the Psychic Soul Healer channel. I decided to jump on and do another reading today. This is going to be a general message for anyone that lands on it. And really, it's a general message about what spiritual energies you need to know about between you and your connection. So if you're here to find out about what your person is thinking of you, why they're thinking the way that they're thinking about you, what they may do, and why they are doing it, then this is a channel for you. And the reason why I say that is a lot of times when we're dealing with spiritual issues, they come out within our behaviorism. So a person could have the best intention, but the way that they interact with you, the way that they deal with you, you may not see that. See, everybody has a different perception of how they feel they should be treated. They also have a different perception of how they interpret love. Now, if a person has a lot of wounds around love and they have issues within themselves, they're going to have problems with showing you. So this is why we look at the behaviorisms, because if we know what a person's spiritual blocks are and what our spiritual blocks are, then we can understand what triggers we need to avoid, but we could also understand how we can integrate the spiritual lesson. Spiritual blocks means that we're in a limited perception. We see a limited perception. We're living a limited reality due to that perception that makes us not feel good about ourselves. See, this channel is all about healing the effects of trauma, and shadows are the unconscious parts of ourselves that we form that we've detached from, parts of ourselves that we've detached from, parts of ourselves that we dissociated from because we don't like that version. So we all tend to wear masks, depending on how much trauma you've gone through is really going to depend on how many masks you have. And really, if you've healed, then obviously you don't need to wear a mask. You can be your authentic self. And when you're at the most authentic self, which means that you're honoring yourself, that you know who you are on a spiritual level, that you are honoring that deity part of self, the spirit part of self, the whole part of self, which is connected to each other and the divine. When you're honoring that, you're in alignment with the laws of God, the laws of love, and the laws of nature. Because again, you're in alignment with your truth, you get good results. You get to quantum jump into a better reality for yourself. Shape shifting, anyone can do. It's realizing that there's many different realities that play out at one time. And depending on what you do, which means your behaviorisms, your habits, like again, your actions, what you do will determine your karma. When we live karmic themes over and over and over again, it means that we haven't learned. So again, this channel is all about healing. It's all about integrating our shadow parts of ourselves. So we see our shadow come out a lot in relationships. So when I want to look at the archetype of you and your person, that's going to let me know what behaviorisms and habits are there. It's going to let me know what the psychological wound was, right? Because it's your psychological and your emotional energies, which becomes your vibration, which makes you a match for the same type of energy as what you need healing in to come into your life. This is why we need to integrate it, because again, in the Bible, it says what we resist persists, and you'll keep getting the same spiritual lesson over and over and over again until you deal with it differently. So this is why we want to know what the archetypes are, because then it's like we know what we're dealing with. Now, energy is fluid, so roles could be reversed, flip it, switch it, twist it. Just interpret the message as it best resonates for you. Any important information about this channel you can find in the description box. Also, if you want to enter into winning a free psychic reading with me, all you need to do is like the video, subscribe to the channel, and write the word of the day. The word of the day is going to be virtue. Okay, you're going to put that word in your comment bar. You're going to know that I chose you as a winner. If I wrote the word winner underneath your comment, would correspond back and forth on YouTube, figure out a best day and time that works for both of us. All readings that are won are done live. This way there's no discrepancy whether a person got their reading or not. And also, I believe in spiritual law, what's best for everyone involved. When we're in alignment with spiritual law, it's what's the best and highest good for everyone. So obviously it's not just me that's giving the reading, you that's receiving the reading, but again, collectively, anyone on YouTube that could possibly benefit from the reading. So this is why I do that. All right. Now, if you're looking for shadow healing yourself, you definitely want to check out the Patreon link. I have a $7.99 package and a $9.99 package. And not to speak too much about it, but know that it's obviously shadow healing, inner child, wound healing, it's reparenting, it's breath work, it's meditation, and it's also EFT and a few other healing modalities, which comes within my coaching program, because healing is not just about healing the mind. We have to heal the energy that has affected our body. And how does it affect your body? It affects your nervous system. Trauma affects your nervous system. So again, your body is your mind's faithful servant. If you've lived around a narcissist, if you've lived in a very imbalanced environment and suffer from anxiety, well, then you definitely understand why you would need to recondition your nervous system. So again, there's no other program out there like mine that offers $7.99 and $9.99, and I'm incorporating not just the the technical stuff, but really the spiritual reasons, which allows you to see a different perception. And that is what enables you to really take different actions to change your life, to transform your life. Okay, first card out is Father. And it kind of landed sideways. Okay, Father, we all know that this energy is all about feeling supported. It's about feeling safe. I mean, fathers, they nurture, they love. And so I'm feeling again that you are in the process of trying to figure out how to, support yourself and how to give yourself that stability, because the father really symbolizes stability. But I also feel like because it landed sideways, there's an element of a block within that. Maybe, again, you grew up in an environment where your father wasn't available, whether there was a divorce, whether they just weren't there, again, or whether or not you just didn't feel like they accepted you. Abandonment is any sort of abandonment. It's just not physical abandonment. It could be emotionally checked out. So they could be there, which is what I'm feeling. I'm feeling like they were there, but they weren't there. That's why the card landed sideways. It was like, well, they were there, but just not really there. And so because they were there and not really there was a sense of how they treated you, that they didn't really give enough, that they were checked out. But as a kid, you don't know that your parent is checked out. You just see that they're not engaging with you. You see that they're not really available. They don't have deep conversations. Or if you try to get some sort of emotional response from them, they were not really receptive. And so you interpreted this as not getting loved enough, not being supported enough. That is really the wound. And so we understand a lot of times that when we don't have support growing up, And it's a perception. Person could have given you support the best way that they knew how. A shadow is formed from a perception. It's not truth. A lot of times it's a perception. And if you know half of a story, this is what creates the perception. However, being in a relationship like that makes us look at ourselves like as if there's something wrong with us, makes us feel as if we're inadequate. And then there's a lack of connection to the ground, meaning connection to the earth. And that means not really knowing what our purpose is, not feeling comfortable around other people, not feeling that we safe enough to express ourselves emotionally. So the father represents a lot. It represents all the divine masculine elements, the symbolization of what a father should be: strength, support, protection. But we can again give ourselves those things. So when I'm looking at the archetypes and I'm looking at your, again, what is influencing your behaviorisms on an unconscious level, this is why we look at the father. This is why we would have that as an archetype. So, and also understand if there's a disconnection from father, there's a lot of times not just a disconnect from other people, but we don't trust other people because on some level we didn't trust father, especially if it came out sideways. It's like I didn't really feel safe. Okay, monk, nun, and it came out reversed. So now normally I'm not feeling that this is truth. Again, it's a perception. And the perception, again, when we're looking at the wounds, because the wounds come out in our archetypes a lot of times, it's not really who we it's not who we are. It's a perception of who we believe we are. It's almost like if you put your pants on like a shirt, it would obviously look wrong because you don't wear your shirt like a pair of pants. You can try, but it would feel really uncomfortable and it just would always seem wrong. Well, that's like when we're looking at something through a distorted perception. The distorted perception, again, was a lack of support. So it's a lack of identity. And then when monk and priest, it's not monk, it's the same thing as a priest, but monk and nun come out reversed. Well, a monk and nun is supposed to be very pure, right? It's supposed to be holy. It's supposed to be everything that's right. So it comes out opposite, not feeling good enough, almost feeling like there's something wrong with me. I'm bad. Because what is like a nun and a priest? I mean, like I said, these are symbolizations. So a lot has changed within society of how we view, priests. But monk and nun, when we're talking about the archetypes, we're talking about what they're supposed to represent. And what they're supposed to represent is, selflessness, devotion, giving, single-minded dedication to like their whatever is important to them, what they're to spirit as a whole. And their establishment to, again, that spirit is what I'm trying to get at. So when monk and nun is reversed, it's like that's not what comes out is negative judgments of the physical world. There's a disconnect if it's monk and nun reversed because it's what's not holy. And so again, when we don't feel like our father loved us or our mother really on both terms, then there's a sense of not feeling good, feeling dirty almost. That's the energy there, right? When that someone looked at us like almost in disgust. So the archetypes are, again, a part of ourself, again, of our character. And it's like, again, created from the samskara. The samskara is a spiritual wound. A spiritual wound is a combination of astral energy and emotional energy. It's held in the body as stress. And so, again, this could be you or the person that you're here for. I think I listed it for actually the person that you're here for. So if this person, automatically we would know that they wouldn't really be treating us well. And they wouldn't be treating us well because they don't feel good about themselves, and not really because of how they truly feel about you on an emotional level. They might not feel comfortable with their emotions because they're not comfortable with themselves. So we would know already what that was. And we could also say, like goes to like. You're a mirror of who and what comes into your life. So you may say, well, I love my father. My father was there, but never emotionally. I didn't really feel like I could open up to them. So it was still an imbalance. And it doesn't matter if it's a big imbalance or a little imbalance, like goes to like. You're a mirror of who and what comes into your life. And so here we are. If we didn't get the emotional support that we needed, that someone was there but they were checked out, we could again attract someone that had a father that was abusive, or that just thought that they were bad. It's the same energy, it's the same wound, it's the same, because it's the same karmic lesson that needs to be learned, which is about support. And again, self-righteousness. So again, I feel like there's a sense of very logical, very linear energy here that, again, like a father tried to deal with you, very logical, and that's how this person deals with everything. So you're like, I have an emotional connection to you, and you're trying to be self-righteous. You're trying to not see things, make it like I'm crazy. Again, deflate your point of view. Like your point of view is not important. So, which is again a wound. A lot of times when we are wind up with a karmic or a soulmate, and all soulmates are karmic because they all teach us. And they teach us a lot of times through lessons that create pain. It's an awareness. And so I'm with somebody that doesn't want to see that they're selfish. They're so caught up in their own trauma. And they're caught up in their own trauma. But again, the mask is self-righteousness. I'm only going to, again, see my point of view. It's a protective thing, but it stemmed from a lack of connection to the father, lack of connection to support. So on some level, now I feel inadequate. That's why they say it's easier to heal. It's easier to grow a child than heal an adult, because you have to help them recondition themselves. And people that have wounds get in their own way. It's like this person's conditioned to feel on some level that they can't have love because the first parent, the first person that, was supposed to love and care didn't show them didn't give them what they needed. And it's not a right or wrong, but what winds up happening then is I feel like the person you're connected to shut off their feelings. They were well, again, that's how they're self-righteous, right? It's I don't want to see your point of view because I don't want to have empathy for you, sensitivity. So I have a wall, and I don't have feelings. I'm tough. I'm strong. The mask. Which is frustrating because you might be well, how do I deal with it then? Well, we'll get to that. Trust me, because there's always a spiritual lesson, and karma means what you do. You can quantum jump into the reality that you want, especially if it's a soulmate, because there's a spiritual connection that's connected. You're connected to this person through unconditional love, and we can't destroy that. You can hate somebody and love them at the same time. It's a crazy thing, but it's understand that it's not really hate. It's that there's so much pain and there's so much frustration that's what it looks like, and that's because there's that wound has been in there for a long time. It's repeated. So it's what needs to be. So apathy. See, like there's a sense of the person is really unsure about themselves, because apathy is kind of like a form of like procrastination, right? And so it's like if I'm not confident in myself, I'm going to over like compensate with being self-righteous. So really we look at the wound and we say, well, again, this person wasn't made to feel good so about themselves. So let's look and see how that triggers. And then we'll see how your person is going to act now, because a lot of times people really get themselves where they sabotage a relationship completely because they are reacting to their triggers. Again, and when we act from our triggers, we're acting from an emotional state. It's not a logical state. That's why love makes you crazy, because again, you're not coming from a balanced place. You're coming from your perception, and that perception is usually wounded, which is why now you're reactive to it. And so we look at the triggers, see, well, what are the behaviorisms that are going to come from this, and how do I heal that? Because it's like I created a lot of times we make the situation worse due to the anxiety. We get in our own way. This is where psychological reversals are formed. It's like, oh, well, I just, so much thought, so much motion, overstimulation, got in my own way, said the wrong thing, did the wrong thing, saw the wrong thing, because you were looking through a distorted perception, and that was through your wound, not really the truth. Gaslighting. So again, this gaslighting of being around someone. So this person, I feel like, was gaslighted by a parent, which made them by a narcissist. And so many times we grow up in a narcissistic environment. And so that's where I felt like the wound first originated from. And then they became the gaslighter as a way of, I'm not going to see things from your perception. I want to have full control over the situation. I want you. Still, I care about you, because I'm not going to let you go either. But it's a connection through usually lust. Again, a lot of emotion, a lot of passion. Because again, we can't help that. That's what draws us to a person. Usually their looks, and again, their energy. And there is a strong spiritual connection. However, this person has major intimacy issues, because again, they never had that proper attachment at a young age. So now they come into a relationship and they are crazy about you, but they're also crazy because they haven't healed what they needed to heal. So there's a sense of obsessive energy, a sense of like strategizing and gaslighting in order to get what they want. It's not the fact that this person doesn't love, they don't think that they can have love the right way. And it's a subconscious, they're not aware of that. So it's like where the person doesn't feel safe. And that's a lot of times what happens when we haven't healed. So, and again, so expectations too of seeing you, and that maybe your life looks really good to them. And so they imagine that you have your life all together and that you can help them in a way. But their expectations of what a relationship is a little distorted, because they're not coming from a balanced place. And if you're thinking that this person's balanced, then you would have that would be hurt, because there's always some a little bit of expectation in dating. They may say, don't have expectation. Well, you don't expect the person to be like crazy, obviously. So there has to be like a little bit of expectation, you know. So it, but obviously the expectation is what hurts us, because we, as we're getting to know this person, we're feeding them energy. That's your time, your energy, your focus. You don't realize the more energy you put to something, the more of an attachment you get. And if you didn't get the attention and love that you needed from your family, and not because they were horrible people, but again, everybody had their issues. And on some level, we're all born into the world with abandonment issues. Supposedly, because Adam and Eve ate from the tree of knowledge, and then Spirit said, well, now you're going to learn, and you're going to learn through pain and suffering. But I love you so much, I give you the gift of the Holy Spirit. Even though we have Spirit inside of us, it's like, well, we don't feel supported. We don't get that unconditional love all the time. We're like looking for it. And Spirit says, you have to give it to yourself. And if you grew up in a family where there wasn't like parent and support, which is what this story is showing, and that is playing out within your connection. Now, again, you might have also not had that, because like goes to like. And so you're a mirror of what comes into your life to show you, again, what needs to be healed within inside you, which is usually father elements, which are the male elements, which would be to work more on your finances, to create more of yourself, more grounding energies. Because again, maybe relationships make you also go up in your head and get a little bit of anxiety, because you also didn't have the support. You weren't conditioned in an environment that made you feel safe. And it's not a blame game. You got to realize families were born into societies that were really imbalanced. It depended what was going on. There's a collective consciousness that we all unfortunately inherit. So the war, trauma, families do the best that they can with no spiritual help, not knowing who they truly are, that there was a divinity in self. So we do the best that we can. It doesn't mean that we don't love, but we love the best way that we know how. And this is what this story is really about, that there is love. The person wouldn't put so much energy into trying to like get over and control. However, it's a distorted love, and it's a distorted love because of the environment that they grew up in. And so they recreate the same karmic storyline theme. And that theme is, I'm not really lovable, so I feel like I need to control. I always get hurt. I have to be in control, but that's why they're looking. They enter into a relationship that way. That's what they're doing. And an expectation of you being able to fix it is not really right, just because you have a good life. And this is a lot of times where, this soulmate connection of, I really feel like this, I'm connected to this person, and there is this unconditional love, that you would have to be careful, because I think that they can change. Well, they'll change if you have really strict boundaries and don't give up yourself and understand it's not going to be easy, because people are creatures of habit. But can they change? Yes, they could want to. Again, it's called karmic, depending on what we do. We have the choice. Past. I had a hard time letting go of the past. We know this because of the father and the fears associated with it. So they manifested in chaos in my relationships. And that's what I was saying. It's like they're stuck in that trauma. And so that trauma continues to play out within their relationship until they heal it. And that's not, so it's happened in every other relationship too. So how should you heal it, or deal with it, I should say? Because when there's a soulmate, twin flame, or any important relationship, and we've invested time, it's like, well, can't like just walk away. I want to walk away, but I feel like I'm drying my heart. And that's the problem, because the unconditional love transcends time and space. You can't destroy it. It's the only element that can't be destroyed. So you're like, well, why the fuck is this person in my life then? And it's to teach you, and it's also possibly to for this person to get taught also, depending on what you do. That's why it's karmic. It's not just karmic for one person. Now, you may say, well, I'm always the one that gets the karma. Well, you might always be the one that continues to try to fix, try to heal, tries to, again, doing what you do. You're stuck in a karmic pattern. So, again, depending on what you do, and then depending on what you do is going to depend on what they do. Because you want someone to change, you change them by changing what you do. And that's why there's many different realities that can play out in one time. And this is how we can quantum jump into the reality that works best for us. Otherwise, we're stuck. We're stuck in like, well, I just wind up with narcissists and I don't feel safe in relationships. Now, this person poisoned me because this is what they did to me. And see, we get stuck and we live in a society of that now. So it's again, it's kind of important that we get some spiritual insights. I gotta find the goose cards. Okay. And I'll look and see what the hidden truths are because I'm always curious. Like, well, even though this person's a madman, or I would like to know what they truly feel. Because again, that's the emotional part, the ego part of self. It's like they better still can, you know? But really, how do we deal with it? Because you don't want to be stuck in like you want to break this karmic cycle of attracting this type of person into your life. And that happens when you change. Inner work. I don't have even lying here. Is God brings me ideal situations for my inner healing. As I become aware of my weaknesses, I turn them into strengths. I direct my thoughts towards the light and see the positive side of every stage of my life. Darkness turns into courage. Thus, I get stronger. So it's again doing your inner child work to being like, this person came into my life because emotionally I didn't get what I needed. And so even though that they gaslight, that they're gaslighting me, I can trust myself first of all. And I realize that that's their inadequacy, that has nothing to do with me. That if you continue to stay bonded to this person, then it becomes your issue. So your strength would be to incorporate those father elements, meaning you have to create yourself. You got to get in your body, out of your head. You got to be interactive in life. You have to, again, incorporate the energy of the sun, male energy. Again, this is what we're looking for here. We're looking for passion for life. We're looking for the magician. The magician has all the elements that on his table, right? In the tarot, all the elements. Well, you too have all the elements inside you. Again, you're going to use your sword. You're going to use your pentacle. You're going to use it all to manifest your life so that this person is shocked to shit because it's, again, they need to be like handed their karma. You need to balance those karmic scales. And that's done with inner work, not trying to fix, not trying to run around and do outside things. It's an inside job when it's a wound to the father, because it's inner child healing. It's been with you for a long time. So there's an inadequacy there where God said, I didn't make you that way. That's a shadow. You are actually perfect. You're like, no, I can prove I'm not because of this. Spirit's like, you're wearing your pants like a shirt again. Different perception. You got to quantum jump. You got to shape shift that reality. Vitality. I am a being of light. I accept the divine energy in my body and every one of my cells regenerates. So it's, again, taking the prana that we breathe into is also spirit. Okay. Spirit's job is to work through us. And that happens when we ground, because it through gut, intuition, inner knowing. It brings us to the people, situations, and experiences that are going to change our heart and our mind about how we view ourselves. And understand by you changing, it changes this person. This person still can come back and apologize. You could influence them through being different, through not falling for the gaslight, because usually what people do then is they get emotional, they get crazy, they want to control. No, 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 that's not what you do. You incorporate the father energies, that archetype, that spirit saying, oh, you need to do this because you need to serve this person, their karma. Otherwise, you're going to eat the karma. And part of you healing your karma is seeing this person either feel bad, have some sort of regret, or the fact that your life blows up and takes off in a different direction, and you know that they get to see that there's some sort of karmic balance there, because the person does care. It's not, if they didn't care, then they wouldn't be in your life. They were trying to control. I want everything my way. I want everything my way because I'm selfish. Because, I was taught that I'm not really lovable. So that's what it is. And so we understand and we say, okay, so what are their hidden truths is what I want to know. And I'm going to leave it off with hidden truths. And that's because I'm nosy. It's like, I want to know, after all this shit that you put us through, what do you feel? What do you really feel on the inside, clown? After you gaslighted and controlled and really made this into a dumpster fire because of your manipulation. What do you really feel inside? Because we can see, well, the person's an asshole and they just, that's their nature to get over. It's over now. I thought I loved you, but it was lust, or I'm in full regret. And somehow that makes me feel better, even though I'm sure it shouldn't. It's my ego. And there is an ego part of self that we want to know that. So I'd be foolish not to pull. We're going to pull 3 cards. We just want to know. First card out. Finding out the truth crushed me. The truth of what? The fact that you walked away? I wish I had treated you better. Now that's what I wanted to hear. I wish, because that there's some regret. I wish things could be different. So the bottom line here is that they are in regret, because again, they're reflecting on their actions. However, I feel as if they view you, because they haven't healed themselves. So when we see a person bob back from being really self-righteous and arrogant and then being really insecure, they have a second chakra imbalance and they're all over the place, and they usually are a narcissist, and that's why they gaslight again. And what causes that is, again, the detachment and problems, again, from father, again, the way that they were raised, their perception. And so what happens is, if you go on and you fix your life, which is balancing the scales, which is just loving yourself and not giving this person the energy, incorporating that archetype more into your life, then what winds up happening is that they tend to be like, well, now you've moved on and it's somebody else and I feel so bad. So they very well, this person may go into victim state, which is how, again, when a person isn't really 100% ready to heal, they have regret of what they did, again, to you. However, they still aren't, again, they're in pity party. It means that you have to do work. You have to change. And this person doesn't really want to do the work, is what I would say from that. And I just want to say, how should I leave this off for you? What is the spiritual energy for you? How should you approach life, or what wisdom are you supposed to get from this, aside from the fact of that it was a karmic test and loving yourself? When we love ourselves and display that, then we can attract the right love, because you're incorporating the elements that needed to be healed with inside of you. So your actions are different. So that is helpful, but what else are we supposed to get? I feel worthy and have very special talents that will help me to achieve my dreams. Keep focusing, keep grounding. It's again that from your work, you're going to change because you too, you attracted this person. You passed your spiritual lesson because again, you're incorporating your again the male archetype that needed to be healed. So this is wonderful news. But as you perfect your craft, as you feed it more energy, as you are more grounded, again, incorporating the support in your life and seeing the support, you'll be brought to new people and situations and experiences that your perception of what you want will change. You will see yourself differently. People will see you differently. You will attract the right person. But now is not the time, Spirit's saying, because there's a space between what you reap and what you sow. So we have to clear out the negative, and we just did by passing this karmic test. Now is have a love affair with yourself. Focus on your dreams. Become the vibration of unconditional love by doing what you love. And Spirit says, and I will bring you that. But right now, the focus is all on you. And I'm going to leave it there. I'll see you all again soon. Bye bye.